Welcome to Cracking the Code, Understanding Charles County's Regulations and Ordinances, a series designed to help all community members have a better idea of what's going on in Charles County in terms of our codes and regulations. I'm Doria Fleischer, your Community Engagement Coordinator, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Liz Theobalds, our Deputy County Attorney, and Amanda Siko, who's one of our permit supervisors. Thanks for being here today, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
So Liz, I know this is an old jam for you. We've now done a couple of these episodes. And Amanda, welcome. You said this is your first time doing this with us?
Yes.
So Amanda, even though it's your first time doing this with us, you are not new to Charles County government.
No, I am not.
So give us a little bit of an idea of who you are and how long you've been here.
So I'm the permit supervisor. I have been here for almost 20 years in PGM the entire time.
Planning and growth management.
Yes, planning and growth management, and I've been the manager for 9 years.
Excellent. Well, we are thrilled that you joined us today to talk more about the permit process, and we'll work together to figure out how we can get enough information out there, but also without overwhelming people, because I assume that the amount of knowledge in your brain about permits could overwhelm the average human.
Yes.
Do you dream about permits at night?
Let's not discuss that.
I think that's a yes. You can look at your attorney, but I think that saying let's not discuss that means you dream about permits at night. Excellent. And Liz, it's not a competition, but you've been with county government quite the long time also.
31 years.
So, I mean, it's not a competition, Amanda, but if it was, 31 trumps 20.
Totally does.
And Liz, tell us a little bit about your role here in the county.
So I'm the deputy county attorney. A lot of times planning and growth management supervisors such as Ms. Siko will reach out and look for some legal guidance. We get requests for guidance from planning, from zoning all the time. So this is one of those situations where we're here to be as much support for our department as possible.
I love it. Thanks for both being here. So today we're going to be talking about the permit process, the online system, and specifically building and trade permits, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so Amanda, when we say building and trade permit, what is that?
So it's when you're doing improvements on your home or commercial businesses and you need to get permits for construction, occupancy changes, and our office is where you come to do that.
And why are permits like this required?
For code compliance and public safety.
Okay.
It's a big concern.
So I'm gonna break that down just a little bit. So code compliance, what does that mean?
Whatever codes we've adopted, they would need to comply with, and then with zoning regulations also are involved with the permitting.
Okay.
So we just have to make sure everything's per code, inspected, and you can legally use and occupy based on those passing inspections.
Excellent. And that's to go into that public safety piece. That's because, like, why is this a safety matter?
Oh, well, because you don't want to be on a deck and then fall, and then it'd be a liability.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it could just get very dangerous, I would say.
Yeah.
But the series of inspections are done throughout the process, depending on what the project is, to make sure at each stage everything's going the way it's supposed to be going.
That makes sense. I think sometimes, we hear about our zoning code and we hear about codes, and it's easy to think like, oh, those are just the silly rules. Like they just, my fence or my tree, or, I'm not allowed to do this. But when you say it like you could fall through a deck, that kind of adds a whole other level, right?
Yes, that's a really big visual,
Yeah.
I think, to think about. And because it seems like getting a permit for everything seems silly to some, but it really is important when you think about something like that could happen.
Right.
If you're not getting it inspected and permitted the way it's supposed to be.
Right. And this is a combination of public-private, right? So you said businesses or someone's home, yeah?
Yes, commercial and residential.
Yeah.
It applies to all of them. There are different series of inspection paths for each project, but they all have inspections.
Excellent. I think about it sometimes, I worry about the health and safety of my own home because that's where I live. That's what I'm responsible for. But I often don't think about, when I walk in to a public place, I just assume it's going to be safe. And I guess that assumption is because people like you have taken it off my mind. You're doing the work to make sure I don't have to think about it.
Certificate of occupancy.
And then I feel it's safe. Good.
And then you should feel a lot better.
That'll be, I'll walk in and say, Amanda told me to look for it, and I'll look for it on the wall. Excellent. So we talked a little bit about, what a building and trade permit is and why it exists. Who's affected by the work you do? What kind of humans are you interacting with? What kind of residents?
Citizens of Charles County, obviously, are the ones that we're here to serve. And then they have contractors coming from, out of state or out of county. So there's a lot of people brought into this process. But the citizens are, who we're here to help get them permitted and walk them through the process, especially when homeowners do their projects on their own. They need that extra help to understand where contractors kind of already know
when you're doing this professionally, it makes sense. When you're doing it personally, you need a little more guidance.
Yes.
And Liz, one of the things that I hear a lot, it comes up every Citizens Academy, and I hear it a lot just in like public comments. I think it's interesting. Your job in county attorney, you are not an attorney for the people.
No.
What is your role in this? When we say you're the county attorney and you advise, what are you looking for?
We're looking for any opportunity that we can take to make sure it is that if there are codes that have been established and that people are in fact complying with them. I think Amanda mentioned the term compliance. There are, and we talked about this actually from the very first podcast we did, where we were talking about compliance. And compliance is you have a legislative body that said that this is the standard to which you need to go ahead and comply. And for permits, you want to comply with them because they're the standard. They're the standard for safety. Just as you pointed out, when you want to see that something is safe, you walk into a commercial establishment. Oh, there was a use and occupancy code, use and occupancy certificate that was issued. So our role is to make sure that when it is that you have somebody who has not been in compliance with something, a lot of times somebody will reach out to our office to say, wait a second, Liz Theobalds or anybody else in the county attorney's office, this is how it is we're reading the code. Are they really in compliance with this? And that's what it is that our job is.
So Amanda, you're doing that frontline work of getting the permit process rolling, making sure, and then if it hits something where you're like, ooh, how do I read this? That's when it goes to that next level.
Yes.
Going back to county attorney.
I do feel like we're pretty good at the front line, so we don't have to bother Liz too much. But at times, she is needed.
That's awesome. So Amanda, tell us a little bit about, we've talked about, why they're there and who it affects. What are the things you want people to know? I'm going to let you kind of take the wheel of this conversation and say, like, now that I have the mic, get ready, Charles County.
Yeah. So I think it's just important that when you don't know something, to go to the right person. We hear a lot of people come in and say, well, my neighbor told me that I didn't need this. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, your neighbor doesn't know,
Right.
and so we want them to contact our office. We want them to contact the department, county government, to ask the questions to the people that have the right answers.
Okay.
We have a ton of resources on our website now. We've really been working on that, and we have permit guides online, and they are custom to your property. You plug in your address and what you're doing, and it builds it out specific to your project, which is a huge improvement in our previous guides. Our previous guides were very general and standard. So these have really helped educate the public on how to prepare their packages.
Okay.
But calling us, coming in and seeing us, and now that we're online, we don't have a lot of in-person, and I miss that terribly. So I love when people come in.
Right.
And
So you're still open to...
Yes, we like that a lot.
Right.
I mean, we have a lobby, but no people in it. But
maybe this will generate some in-person visits for you.
Yeah, we do. We in fact, I still have people come in that just come in to say hi. They know what they're doing. They do stuff online, but they just miss the interaction, with our office, and that we just have a great office, really.
Awesome. So we talked about some of the tools. I want to kind of go even one step before the going online, the building you're using the guide to build what you're doing. What would happen? What would generate in a resident's head that they were like, I think I might need a permit?
So there are, everybody probably has a nosy neighbor, where they walk their dogs way more than they should because they see you're doing something and they want to know what's. So, you get a nosy neighbor that notices something. Did you get your permit? Because we used to have the orange placards.
Okay.
So you would know. We no longer do that. Now it's just the regular paperwork. So a lot of times if they saw the placard, they'd be like, okay, I know that but people don't know that now. So so people would, inquire. But if you don't go about it the right way, when you go to rectify it, it can be a longer process, a more financially challenging process also. And then it's just frustrating. There's you have to go backwards.
Gotcha.
And that's harder.
So in the perfect system, a resident would say, I want to build a new deck, or I'm looking to do this to my house, or I'm opening a business. And then
we'd want them to contact us first. Then we would direct them with whatever staff was fitting with what their project was. We have commercial and residential. Then I would walk them through the permit guide, or a staff would. We can show them how to do it on the kiosks in our office. We have done walkthroughs over the phone. We've helped people through like step by step on the
Right.
screen. We have those tutorials that we send out.
Okay.
So we have everything to give you. We just need you to reach out to us first.
And if it was something that didn't need a permit, you would just say, "Oh, thanks for calling, but this actually,
Yeah,
you don't need that."
And
Carry
a lot
on.
of times they want us to respond in writing, so they have it, so they can
Right.
show their contractor, just to be sure that they
Okay.
check for themselves. We're happy to do that.
Okay. So somebody's moving through the process and they're doing everything great. It works out perfectly. Everybody's safe. Life is good.
Right.
But sometimes not. And you said you used the word rectify or slows
Yeah.
things down. So what are some things that would cause bumps in the road, or what are some things that would then perhaps Liz would have to provide some guidance, or I'm trying to think of the right way to say, would be out of compliance?
So first of all, doing something without a permit
Okay.
is the biggest thing. Because then stop work would happen. It
Okay.
was a stop work order, until you got where you needed to be before you could
And that is
continue.
literally what it sounds like. County
Yes.
government would say, you must
Right.
stop doing the work
Yes,
on this
and
project.
come get your permits.
Okay.
Yes. So if the fines would be assessed,
Okay.
which is another thing. But if you come in and then we can steer you the right way,
Right.
you would avoid any of the hardships.
Okay.
But hardships do happen. There are a lot of people that there is, let me give you an example
Yeah.
to get into the extension part, because this is kind of tied with it. I had a gentleman come in and his contractor had gone ill.
Okay.
And they could not finish the project at that time. So their permit went to expire and they had to renew it later on to continue work.
Right.
And, those things aren't planned. That just happens. But, there's a solution to get you back into compliance and get your project finished, so you don't get caught in doing something that you shouldn't be doing, which is, having an expired permit and continuing to work.
Okay.
Because you can't do that.
Okay.
Because they won't do inspections on expired permits. Then you would be going out of order of your inspections, which is also, it's just...
It slows everything down.
And it just, everything just piles on.
Right.
And the solution is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
It just looks so much harder to achieve.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I'll build on what
Yeah.
Amanda was saying. A lot of times when people are confronted with, okay, I have this permit, I need to get an inspection here, I need to get an inspection here, I need to get an inspection here at these 4 steps. Some people are like, why do I need to have that? And we have run into those situations, and that's when it is that our office has become involved.
Right.
Somebody got an inspection at step 1, went ahead and completed step 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then step 6, he's like, wait a second, how come the others haven't been done? So literally, there have been situations where you would want to have to tell somebody, you've got to tear down this drywall. We've got to
Right.
be able to see these wires. We need to see all of that behind it. And that's when it is that it gets ugly.
Right.
And that's not necessary. And just like Amanda said, we have so many resources. And I love the fact that there's the programs that you can go ahead and build out what it is your project is. We've got a staff, headed by Amanda, who's really willing and interested in helping everybody understand the process, because you don't need to incur that extra kind of expense and look at the county as the bad guy because we made you take down the drywall so we can go ahead and we could see the wiring, making sure that it was properly done, that it was inspected by somebody who was a master electrician, what have you. So all those things are really important. And like I said, compliance, that's really what it is that we're looking for, so that therefore if something does happen, somebody doesn't look at the county and say, well, why did you permit this?
Right.
We tried. We did everything we could. We said, here's a permitting process. Here are the inspections phases. And if you don't do that, then suddenly something happens and everybody's looking at the county. And
Right.
then the county attorney's really involved.
We don't want that. I want Liz to be able to sit at her desk with her feet up thinking, what am I going to do today, right? Wouldn't that be a lovely,
don't tell
something that's
anybody
never happened in
that.
31 years,
No,
I
that's
assume.
never
In
happened.
31 years have you had a dull moment in
No.
county government. But wouldn't it be nice if maybe year 32 was like, everybody's in compliance. What should I do? They're going to listen to this podcast and that'll eliminate all of the drama. That's what it is.
Oh, my goodness. Dream come true.
Dream come true. So Amanda, if somebody is listening or watching this and thinking like, this is a topic that's really interesting to me, either because I'm going to do a project or I'm thinking about it or just I want to know more.
Yeah.
Where would you tell people to go?
I would definitely tell people to call our office.
Okay.
Go on the website.
Okay.
There's web forms you can fill out. There are surveys you can fill out. There's an email address. I mean, we just want to be contacted.
Okay.
Whatever convenient way you would like.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you want to share with us, or is there an important, like if there's one thing that you want people to walk away with after hearing or listening to this episode, what would it be?
Get your permits.
Get your permits. I like it. That could be your new tagline.
Right.
Ask if you need one and get your permit.
Right.
Get your permits. I think it's so interesting because there's so many times where like, it's so wonderful when we have people that move forward at their own pace, right? Like you get things done. And it sounds like this is really one of those cases where it's not, where we're really saying to people, slow down, do it right the first time, be very careful, be very intentional.
I think letting them know, like, we're here to help. I mean, I know a lot of times county government as a whole is not looked at as, but I mean, I'm where I am because I want to educate and want to take the stress away from the citizens when they're wanting to go through like this, that they've never done it before.
Right.
You know,
make it a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And people really are investing in what it is that they have here in the county. If it's your home, it's your dream home, it's your dream place, you want to go ahead and do an addition, you don't need to have to bear the extra expense of having to just take a step back because you didn't stop to ask, is this something that I can do? Can I put it this close to the neighbor's line or anything like that? Is this deck something it is that is a proper size, and how much more do I need? Right. You know, those are the things it is that help make the experience in the county better for the residents as well as for the commercial establishments. You have a dream business. This is what it is that you want. You want to have it look like this. Start with permitting. That's what we ask.
We're here to help. Yep.
That makes sense. And I think it's such an, I say a lot, I keep referencing Citizens Academy. We're in the middle of a cohort right now. So it's, one of my favorite programs and it's on my mind so much. One of the things, and we were chatting about this before we started recording, I don't expect, when people come to Citizens Academy, I don't expect them to remember everything. That's way too much. I just want them to remember that there is a resource out there. And I think about, going back to the beginning where we joked about, do you dream and permit? Yeah. You're the only person who needs to have that much information, right? Our residents just need to remember that you have that much information. So they don't need to remember it. They need to remember that you have it and just go to you and get those questions answered. Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Liz Theobalds, our Deputy County Attorney, and Amanda Siko, our Permit Supervisor.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Cracking the Code. Remember, we have other episodes that you can go back and watch previously, and of course, there'll be new content coming your way. Thanks so much for tuning in, Charles County. Take care, stay safe, and stay engaged.
Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast and want to hear more, search Charles County Government on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And be sure to like and subscribe. We're also available on YouTube. Search Charles County Commissioners. And stay connected for all county news, information, and programs by visiting www.CharlesCountyMD.gov/stay connected.